and thank you for making it here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And to start things off, what was your guys' preparation coming into ISL season 2020? And did you guys have any doubts whether the ISL 2020 is actually going to happen? Is the bubble going to work out? Because we chatted with a bunch of athletes, and it seemed like even the coaches were concerned. They weren't sure if the ISL was going to happen until they actually arrived in Budapest. They saw the pool, they saw the facility, and they were like, okay, this might work out. Did you guys have concerns of this matter? Michelle, do you want to start?
Yeah. I was quite the pessimist. I was doubting how the ISL was going to be able to happen, because I was following the COVID spread in Hungary, and it was quite rapidly getting bad in the beginning of September, and I thought it would be really hard for us athletes to get in, and I saw how countries were locking down again and a second wave was starting. So I was quite pessimistic, but then suddenly, we were getting our plane tickets, and I was realizing more and more to the joy that it was actually going to be on. And obviously we had prepared training as if ISL would be go, so nothing really changed there. But it was really happy that they managed to pull it off. Great work for the team. It was shocked.
Thank you, Michelle. So basically for you, it was like you were on the fence on whether it's going to happen or not, but you still trained as if it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Blake, how was it for you?
Yeah, I think we had to add a little bit of background. Like everything else that year, at least in the United States, had been canceled. So I was coming in thinking actually, when it was initially scheduled to be in Australia, I thought that it wasn't going to happen. I don't know, maybe like 10% chance of it happening. But then when it moved to Budapest, I was like, okay, I could see that a little bit better, maybe more than 50%, 50-50 that it would happen, something like that. But then same thing Michelle said, we started getting tickets, started getting closer. And yeah, it was amazing that we were able to compete there, and the bubble was a huge success. And I was really thankful that I was wrong.
Thanks, Blake. Rebecca, much of the same for you, or?
Yeah, same for me. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I was holding on to the hope that it would happen. But same with me with what Michelle said. I just trained as it would happen. And our manager, Rob, he was being super honest with us as a team and was telling us what was happening and giving us updates about the possibility of what could happen and what it would look like. So, and then once we got our tickets emailed, I was like, okay, this is legit, this is happening. So then I got super excited, and I'm super glad that it happened.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca.
The bubble did happen, but you guys were representing the Toronto Titans, team that was making their debut in this season. How did you feel, especially you, Blake, Rebecca, that were present last season in different teams? And Michelle, for you, how was it, considering that the team was making its debut? And do you think that the experience from the other teams was going to have an impact on that aspect?
Sorry to interrupt, Bruno, but Rebecca, this is your debut season, no?
I was with Energy Standard last season.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I can start. So I didn't, maybe it was just because this all happened in 2020, but I didn't come in with a lot of expectations about any of it, really. The bubble being on Toronto, as a new franchise team. I don't know. And maybe it was because it was going to be such a different experience that I wasn't even trying to compare it to last year. But I just kind of went with it, and whatever. I think we had great leadership on our team, and it worked out great for us.
Thank you, Blake. That makes sense, but at the same time, sort of comparing a little bit last season to this season. What format do you guys favor a little more? Is it the bubble system where all of you guys get together for anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks, compete in high density format, you guys were competing every couple of days, to be honest with you, especially between matches 6 and 7. You guys didn't have much time at all. Would you prefer this kind of format, or would you prefer sort of getting somewhere together for a weekend, competing, then having a couple of weeks off? What do you guys feel about that? Michelle, you want to start? I know it's your debut season, but you had plenty of experience with me.
Yeah, no. I thought it was a great a great way to, especially for us being a new team, creating a great, team spirit and everyone being there for 6 weeks and getting to know each other. Out of a performance perspective, I think it would maybe be better to not have it so intense for because we had a really hectic schedule with our first match, and then we had basically a week and then all of our other matches neck and neck, like 2-3 days in between. So out of a performance perspective, I think it would be nice to have maybe a bit more time between the races, but that's possible in a bubble. Like I know other teams had it different. They had like 1 match a week. So it all depends. But I really do like this. I really did like the format. Like you get in there, you train, you do the whole season. It also, out of an environmentally speaking thought, you minimize travel, you stay in one place. And, the risk of getting infected, not only with COVID, but other, sicknesses with flying and travel and jet lag and all of that does get minimized when you stay in one place. But it was also an intense environment to be in, but if hopefully in the future with no COVID, we would be able to be more free in the movement and maybe go and see Budapest or something like that. But yeah, my potatoes.
Of course. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. So basically for you, it's like, if we're talking about a singular best performance, maybe it's better to stretch it out a little bit, even in terms of a bubbles type setting. But in terms of safety and in terms of even putting COVID aside, it's a safer bet, right? In your perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think I did really like the format. It was incredibly fun to be there together with a team and create that team spirit. And but out of performance perspective, I maybe would have wanted a bit more time in between. Maybe you would have 1 race going and then you would have a week and then maybe 2 more neck and neck, not maybe 4 races neck and neck, or competitions like we did, matches straight after each other. So but yeah, no, it was I would say it was a successful how do you say it in English? Successful way of running a competition. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Rebecca, would you agree to this? Was it much of the same to you? Would you agree to the fact that you wanted a little more time for a single best performance? Weigh in on that, please.
Yeah. I would have to agree with Michelle. I think that it would have been nice to have a little extra time in between each match, especially for our team. I mean, I think we had 3 matches in 8 days, so it was pretty intense. But yeah, last season I remember we had a match and then we had around like 3 weeks or about a month to get some good training in and really improve on where we wanted to improve in on our races. So that was really nice. But I also did like this format though, because it was super fun as a team. There's always excitement. We would build each other up on our successes, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Rebecca. Blake, what about you?
Yeah, I think it kind of comes down to how many matches there's going to be. I think if there's more than 3, I don't really want to be flying all over the place. 2 or 3, I would say, is the max for having it at different locations within a short period of time. But if we're going to do 5, 6, or 7, I think the bubble is definitely the way to go. And especially this year, it was absolutely the best thing that we could have done to construct the bubble. I don't think that it would have been possible at all if we were going to fly around all over the place and, all the logistic stuff behind that. So especially for this year. And I think if we're going to have, more than 5 meets within a month, I think it's better just to stay in one spot.
Okay. Thank you, Blake.
Yeah.
Probably the ISL will, first of all, we're looking to have 12 teams on the ISL by by the end of the ISL expansion in terms of teams. So that
two
does
more?
mean, yes, that does mean more matches. But
Is that going to happen before the next season, do you think?
No, before the next season we'll have 10, and then for the season after we'll have 12.
Okay, interesting.
And then what will happen is that we're looking to have maybe a qualification stage set as a bubble, and then the playoff stage also set as a bubble, but 2 separate bubbles.
Right.
One lasting 4 to 5 weeks and the other one lasting 2 to 3 weeks. Do you guys feel like that would be even better in terms of hosting it? Because we had a lot of conversations with athletes coming in at first to the bubble that were saying that, guys, 6 weeks is way too long. Can I stay here for 4 weeks and then get out, 3 weeks and then get out, something like this? And this is what started us thinking on this matter. But then after this, the same athletes started approaching us and saying, hey guys, if we potentially don't make it to the semis or to the final, could we potentially end up staying for the entirety of the event? So it's kind of like, it seemed like athletes at first were on the merge of staying there for 6 weeks, but a couple of weeks in, they were totally in on it. Was it much of the same for you guys?
I would say that I don't know which athletes you were talking to, but if I also felt like in that sense, a lot of people wanted to stay because the possibility to train was good and countries were locking down. So the only reason or the only way they could train was to stay in the ISL bubble. And honestly, also like maybe watching the swimming and being part. It was an amazing experience, but I feel that we were only there for about 4 weeks, and I felt that was quite a long time. And even though we had the possibility to train and all of this, it still, takes energy, and you don't have the same possibilities as back home. So it would be better to have a few more shorter bubbles. I would say like 2-3 weeks more than 5 to 6 weeks. That's my personal opinion, and have maybe like 2 or 3 of those instead of having 2 long ones. Because it takes a lot of energy, and it's hard in one way to get the same kind of training done.
Yeah, I would agree with Rochelle. I think 4 weeks is like the absolute maximum that we should have to do camp for next year, especially if it's going to be the same style of bubble where we're in the hotel, not allowed to go, a mile outside of our little island of where we were. I think 4 weeks is like complete maximum. And I think 3 weeks, maybe 2 bubbles for 3 weeks would be perfect.
Thank you. Same for you, Rebecca? Or did you potentially enjoy the...
Yeah, I did enjoy it, but I would agree with Blake. I think 4 weeks would be the maximum. I think it was long.
Thank you, Rebecca. And just weighing in on that, you guys said it was a little too long, sort of 6 weeks is too long, even 5 weeks. Is it more due to the fact that you can't get the correct training because of the intensity of the meets, or is it due to the fact that you guys don't get to see family, friends, potentially home coaches?
I would say it's a bit of both. And I would say another thing is, being stuck in a room. Like, I don't think it would feel as bad if we were allowed to go out to eat, to some other place or move around a little bit in Budapest. But I think that was like coming back to this room that's not my home for 4 weeks, day in and day out, was really a big thing that weighed on me. But I would say probably a little bit of both of the training. Training wasn't really that hindered. I don't think swimming with the coaches that we had. I know a lot of home coaches send practices, and then the coaches that were there with Toronto would just kind of lead them. And it really wasn't that hindered. I guess you're not in the pool that you're used to, that kind of thing. But it was really just being locked in the same room, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree with Blake on that one. It was like staying confined to that space, and also knowing that you could not leave the island. Like, you were only allowed to leave the hotel for 1.5 hours to go out for a walk. I found that the hardest part of the ISL. But as he said, also, like we had great possibilities to train. Like, we had practically like a whole pool to ourselves every session, and it was a lot of space in gym and everything like that. But yeah, I back again to like 2-3 weeks. That's maximum. 4 to 6 weeks. That's a bit too long, I would say.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Like Rebecca, would you agree to this?
Yeah, I would agree. I think that we had great access to gym, so we were able to do weights still, and there's lots of availability to pools. But yeah, just being stuck in that room for so long. I mean, I was pretty lucky. I'm still in school, so that kept me busy. But yeah, just going back to the same room just got pretty repetitive.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, thank you. Sort of moving a little bit into the season itself, there seemed to be a little bit of a trend in the ISL with athletes coming in a little bit out of shape, and then by the course of the season, by the last matches, they increase this shape, they get back into shape, and typically their first match ends up being their worst match, and their last match ends up being their best match. For all three of you guys, it seemed like all three matches were relatively stable for you. Maybe we will start with Rebecca. Rebecca, your first match went great. I mean, 57-0 in the one fly, consistent 52s in the relays and the 100 freestyle, 153 in the 2 free. It was great. But it seemed like for you kind of maintained these results throughout the entire season. I mean, you did drop in the 100 fly in the semis. You went to 56.5, significant drop. 152.9 in the 2 free, also great. But if you have a look at someone like Caleb Dressel, who started off his season with a 50 point in the 100 fly and ended up with a 47.7, you didn't tend to have that drop. Could you please weigh in on why your season was so stable? And what are the things you did? Maybe you didn't get affected by COVID as much and had the opportunity to train in April and June, and this is why we're seeing you so stable. Please open up on that.
Yeah, so I wasn't really sure what to expect going into the first match. I mean, I was out of the water for about 3 or 4 months. I didn't get back in the pool until about end of June. So yeah, just going into the first match, I was really nervous. I had the butterflies. I was so nervous. But once I got on those blocks and got in the water, it just felt so good having that adrenaline of racing, since I hadn't raced since February. But yeah, so I didn't know what to expect, but I wanted to go in the race with having no pressure on myself, just to go in there and have fun. And it worked. So yeah, just the whole time, all the matches, I just wanted to make sure I was having fun. And for me, that really works. But yeah, I think I was surprised I was able to maintain my times pretty stable throughout, because I was trying to pick out little things in each race that I can improve on for the next one. But yeah, I was pretty happy with my results, that I was able to stay pretty stable.
Thanks, Rebecca. And just in terms of the results, were you happy with the results in terms of time?
Yeah, for sure. I got a best time in 100 fly and the tuner free, so I was really happy with that.
Congrats, Rebecca.
Thank you.
And Evan, talking about consistency, I mean, also Blake had a great season, always scoring points for the Titans in the 50, 100 to 100 in those relays. But at the end, it seemed that your coaches didn't put you on the 50 freestyle. I know that you're not a true sprint specialist, Blake, but will you have rather been able to swim the 400, because in the past you have put some amazing 400 short course meters times? So how was that?
Yeah, so a few things. The reason that I didn't start swimming the 50 anymore is because of the jackpot rule. Like, I think, best case scenario, regardless of what time I win, I'd probably get jackpotted. So it didn't really make a ton of sense to put me in the 50 with all the other races that I had. In terms of swimming the 400, I don't think it was a good idea, because I was out for 10 weeks this year, didn't touch the water for 10 weeks. So I don't think I was anywhere in a kind of place where I could put together a good 400, at least at the time that ISL happened this year. So that's why I didn't swim those events. Also, Ivan talked about progressing through the season and that we were, the three of us didn't really get much faster. We were mostly just consistent. And I think this kind of depends on the individual athlete. Like you said, Caleb, for example, I think the reason that Caleb progressed so well is more that he wasn't fully tapered at the beginning. I can speak on behalf of Lily King, because I train with her, and she got better as the season went on. And because not only was she not tapered at the beginning, she was working very hard, for the first few matches and in terms of the practices, and she hadn't shaved either until the end. So that's another big reason of why some athletes might be faster at one point. Maybe they haven't shaved yet. And like in Caleb, I think, I'm not sure exactly when Caleb shaved, but I know he wasn't shaved.
Caleb shaved just for the final. Yeah.
Okay, just for the final. Yeah. So that's a huge thing that I shaved in the very first meet. So I was fully shaved through all of them. And I think that could add a big variance to each, depending on what they want to do. It's totally up to Caleb if he wants to shave for, he could have shaved for the first one. Maybe he could have gone, 48 ones on every 100 fly that he did, or maybe not. It's really his choice. So.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Blake. And so you ended up resting before this first match, right? Because you're 2 free and you're 100 free first match. Yeah. What a highlight. But yeah,
I was basically ready the very first one, but I don't know. It's just like trying different things as the season goes on. It wasn't what I did last season. I swam the first 2 matches last season just dead tired from training and unshaved. And so I don't know. It's really just personal preference, and you can change it as maybe next year I'll swim 1 meet unshaved or something like that. I don't know. It's just, like I said, just personal preference.
Okay. Thanks, Blake.
Yeah.
Michelle, for you, I mean, your first match, much like Blake, it was arguably your best match. 23.9 in the 50. Wow. 51.9 in the relay. 52.5 individually. You ended up swimming 26.0 in the 50 fly and 27.2 in the 50 back, and you didn't end up swimming the 50 back on any other matches. But my first question to you, let's space this out, is like to Blake and Rebecca, why didn't we see the progression from you? You ended up staying relatively stable throughout the entire season.
Well, I would say that's very nice saying stable. I kind of felt it went the other way, that I wasn't able to perform back-to-back the matches the way I wanted to. I actually got quite a bit slower towards the end and just like kind of managed to pull myself together the last match. So that was very kind of you to say that I was stable. But I question why it didn't go the way I wanted either, because honestly, like, I wasn't super happy with my results from the ISL. I was expecting much more, because we had the possibility to train all the way through the year. Like, we had no breaks out of water, or we had like the normal summer break for about 4 weeks. So I was expecting to swim a lot faster, but my body just couldn't really recover in the amount of time that we got between the matches, and that made it really hard. Yeah. But that's why I kind of want to try a format that gives us a bit more time between the racing.
Mm-hmm. No, it makes total sense. Thank you, Michelle. Mm-hmm. And in terms of that 50 fly and the 50 backstroke, I mean, in your not so distant career past, you were a freestyler and a backstroker.
Yeah, the 50 fly, I just started swimming at the World Cups last year, because I didn't want to do the 200 freestyle, and you need 3 events to kind of score points. So I was like, oh, well, I'll try the 50 fly. And that worked out all right. I think due to like the power training and sprint training we've been doing with the freestyle. I don't do as well in short course because I can't do a turn. Like, I've never done like a fly turn or a breaststroke turn. So after the first match, we were like, yeah, that's not great. And the backstroke, we had such a strong backstroke. Like Kylie and Lisa, they were killing it. So it was no point in me to go in there. So it was better for Lisa to take over the backstroke.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. You actually did end up swimming the 50 fly on match 6, but not in match 7.
Yeah, the 50 fly kind of got passed around a bit. Rebecca had it once, and I had it once, and Louise always had it. So it was kind of a turnaround event for everyone. But yeah, no, I wanted to give it like another shot, and it's for me it's a fun event because it doesn't bring any pressure and it's not like my main event. So it was just really fun to get another opportunity to race. But yeah, short course not my strong suit in the fly.
Okay. What about the 100 IM? Could we expect to see you in the 100 individual medley next season?
I was actually thinking about that one the other day in training. I was like, that could be quite fun, if I managed to get a breaststroke leg. But also there we have like a challenging turn, so there's a bit of detail work that needs to go in for that. But that could be a fun challenger, yeah, for sure.
Of course. Thank you, Michelle. And guys, sort of a question to all of you. Michelle weighed in on the fact that she is a little more adept at swimming in the long course meters format. And Blake, you're probably a little more adept at swimming yards. Rebecca, it's probably a little more of long course for you as well, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, can we expect you guys putting more attention towards the short course meters coming into the next season of ISL?
I mean, I would love to train short course meters. People always ask me if I prefer short course or long course more, and I think I go back and forth. I think I would get tired of one if I trained one solely one all the time. It does kind of stink that I train short course yards like almost all year round and long course, but like from a short course perspective, I'm training short course, but it's not the same. Like your turns get messed up, and then I've been training short course all year, and then I'm in a pool that's technically short course, but it's like a little bit different. It's off. It's like a weird distance that I never train. So that is unfortunate. And there's not a ton of opportunity where I have, the ability to train short course meters.
Okay, makes sense. And yeah, that totally makes sense that the 25 yards and the 25 meters are absolutely different. As a swimmer who was used to 25 meters format and went to 25 yard format during my NCAA career, 95% of the turns I missed. So I totally understand.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating. But I love short course meters though. I wish the US would swim more short course meters.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah.
Rebecca, what about you? More preparation for the short course meters format, or?
I mean, I train half short course, half long course, but I would say my main focus is still long course. But no, we still train short course, obviously, but we focus a lot on turns as well. So we always have that focus. But for varsity, when I was training in university, still am, but that's also short course. So that's definitely a main focus there. But I would say long course is still in the main focus.
Thank you, Rebecca. Michelle, what about for you?
I'm definitely a long course swimmer for sure. I was a short course when I was younger, and I was training at a club team. We would like practically only do short course. But now being at the center, we're doing mostly long course training. So that's kind of how I adapt my swimming. And obviously we work like underwater and turns, but at the ISL, I really noticed that especially like swimmers coming out of the American collegial system who's really been working working turns and used to that kind of format. They really did a great job in underwaters and turns and all of the detail work. So I definitely feel I've got a lot to work on there to catch up.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Thank you.
And even though that this short course meters isn't your main focus in training, you were pretty good. But I want to talk a little bit about the team unity of the Titans. I mean, you as I mentioned before, this was your first season, but it seemed that all of you knew each other very well because the team unity, the team environment, from as a fan perspective, being there in the arena and working with the ISL. I mean, I wanted to be a part of the Toronto Titans. Tell us a little bit about that. That's
especially considering Blake mentioned you guys were locked in your rooms. How do you reach that kind of unity?
One of the things, I mean, I had probably known, not spoken to like half of the team or so, but I had known of them just from World Championships, Olympic Games, or like things like that. So I think that already kind of breaks the ice to be like, yeah, like I know you from this meet here and like this. And then it's just like kind of get to know you even like on a deeper level as you go. But I mean, it's like unavoidable when you're in a hotel with, 30 other people. You're gonna just get to know everything about each other. And I don't know, it just kind of worked out great. The team chemistry I thought was awesome on the team.
All right, thanks, Blake. So you would attribute this to the team chemistry being right? You guys just being a little bit lucky since you're a rookie team, or because totally 100%. There's a lot of athletes you already knew coming into the season, but at the same time, this was the same for every single team. They probably knew a lot of their roster. Yet you guys were unique in this kind of sense, along with Aqua Centurions. New York Breakers were up there with you guys. I would also pinpoint London Roar as being very united as a team and getting after their athletes. So
one of the other things, maybe Canadians are extra easy to get along with.
I was about to say that. I was like, we have to put in the fact that like Canadians are known to just be like kind and open-hearted people. So I think that really just set the tone for the team. But we also had like great leadership and not only from our team captains but from the head coaches and all of that, so I think that definitely helped. But yeah, we had that Canadian spirit with us for sure.
I think for me, just having that Canadian feel, it made it extra special being from my home country. But yeah, I think they put together a really great team, and it was just really cool how we just all clicked as a team. We all got along really well, and I think especially the relays too, that really brought us closer together. And our captains did a really good job of keeping us together. I think they held like a couple of trivia nights as a team, so we were able to do something out of the water. So that was super fun.
Thank you. And I believe Blake had a topic he wanted to bring up. Blake, this is the right time.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought would be cool to talk about is the differences in the rules and some of the things that changed from season one. For example, like the jackpot times, they were new. That I loved the jackpot times and the winner of the medley choosing the stroke of the skins. I thought that was a great rule. What else changed? You have like 2 hours to choose the stroke by the end of that day, which I thought was another good rule. I think because there was a little bit of breaststroke discrepancy amongst the London Roar head coach at one time, I remember. And I think one of the rules that could, be added to next year is that the head coaches of each team could have the same way that they do in American football. They have like a challenge flag where, if you think something was a DQ, you could, throw a flag or something and have that reviewed over, 2 minutes, or whenever there's another race going, officials could be reviewing that and see if it actually is like a DQ or something like that. I thought that would be kind of a cool change.
To say the least, I think this is an excellent idea, especially with the way the swimming is going right now. You have the ability to have the same technology as in tennis, as in, you name it. Soccer now, American football. You guys have that too a little bit, right?
Yeah.
They just have slow motion camera that you can, look at everything.
Yeah, 100%. And especially considering the fact that the officials don't have transparent vision, and it's quite hard for them to look underwater.
Yeah, it's hard for anyone,
To be honest, I don't understand why such a system is not in place in swimming yet. And this will definitely be something we'll be looking forward to next season. The only potential issue with this is that when you sign an agreement with a broadcaster, you're forced to be within a certain time frame. And if you're not within the time frame, they just violently cut you. And this happened to us on our first match with the last skins race. And obviously this was not good at all.
I remember that.
Yeah.
What I was thinking is like during the 400 IM, they kind of cut to interviews sometimes. And like the both screens are on, they're doing both of them on the same time. And I think like a similar thing could be where officials are talking about whether maybe it was like a longer, so maybe like the 400 freestyle or something, that they could discuss the, potential infraction that they think while another event is going, so that it doesn't make the whole event longer. Because I totally understand that the 2 hour time frame is a hard time. So,
yeah. What do you guys think of the new draft system, Rebecca, Michelle, Blake? The fact that each team, there has been some shuffles in terms of how many athletes each team gets to keep. And I think that they have now reached an agreement that no matter of the gender, you can keep 15 athletes per team.
Oh, I
And
think
the rest of
yeah, go ahead.
the rest of the team goes to the open market, and they're up for grabs up in the draft. Do you guys
Wow.
like this idea? Do you think that the teams will be more balanced?
Yeah, I didn't know. Is this actually a rule? Has this come out, or is this hypothetically? Because
No,
it
this is a
sounds
new
good.
rule.
Yeah,
Oh, it is a new. I didn't know about it. Yeah.
I had initially heard 10 men and 10 women, and I was happy that there's a draft at all, but I thought that
Yeah.
was a little too much. And I get like you want to be equal across the genders, but it kind of isn't fair in the way that, like, take Aqua Centurions, for example. Their men were very strong compared to their women's team. And so they would want to draft more women, I would think, from the draft in general. And if they, were required to keep the same as the men, that would also kind of impact the draft, how people go about the selection in the draft. But I think it's awesome.
I think it's really
100%.
good, and also maybe to pick up the way that how the team that got the lowest rank gets to pick the
First
athletes
pick.
first. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, like they do in the AFL, or is it NFL? I'm really
NFL.
bad at that.
NFL.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
This is the exact way it's going to work out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It'd be interesting to see how that all works out.
Yeah, because I find that it would definitely challenge it, because now it's the top teams, they're really, really strong, and it needs to level out the field a bit more to make a few new teams to be able to contend to being in the final and the semifinals, because now it's pretty set how the teams are ranked, and it would definitely be a good way to try and switch it up and get a new momentum going in all the teams, for sure.
Yeah, I think all of the changes that have been made since the first season have been positive. I know initially at the beginning of this season, they said that a jackpot not only counted for points, but also prize money, which I think was changed in the middle of that season. Is that correct?
It was changed after match 2.
Match 2. Okay, cool. So yeah, I love the jackpot for the points. And I think it's a good change to not make the jackpots for the prize money. But yeah, all the changes I think have been great.
Thank you, Blake. And
the swimmers that the teams are be able to get, would you say that it's a good idea, as the NFL does, changing a draft pick for a very good swimmer?
Could you say that again? I didn't exactly hear.
For example, in the NFL, you can change your draft pick by
Right.
trading players. So do you think this could play an important role in the ISL, for example, that a swimmer that, I don't know, the Cali Condors wants to keep the DC Tridents, make an exchange, a trade for the draft pick,
Right. I don't know how that would work. Can teams talk to each other and negotiate their picks amongst each other? Like, can Cali and Toronto talk, say, like, we'll give you this pick, we want this pick? Is that going to happen or no?
yes, they can.
They can.
This is going to be. I don't really see how it's going to benefit the teams that much.
Right.
If you don't, the only way I sort of see this working out is like if the teams make an agreement. For example, the DGC Tridents and the Aqua Centurions, like, yo guys, can you Aqua Centurions pick a couple of men up for us, and we pick a couple of women for us, and then we change? I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
But what is possible is exchanging your picking spot for
Right.
some agreement. But
Right.
I don't see a team really giving up their picking spot, and
Right.
you I don't know.
Pretty rare.
But with that being said, the big issue I see with this draft system is that a lot of the swimmers we spoke to, and even from teams that didn't particularly swim up to their potential or goals in the season, like Aqua Centurions and the DC Tridents, athletes don't want to leave these teams. All of them are saying that, hey, we'd rather be a part of the team that we've already been a part of and be a part of building it up, rather than just be drafted in a stronger team that we're not necessarily a part of. Do you guys agree to this? And do you guys have any concerns that something happened and you guys don't end up in the Toronto Titans? I mean, that is a concern, right?
I think I
Yeah,
kind of sorry, Blake. Yeah, I kind of get the athletes, because you want to be in a team where you feel that you can contribute the most. And maybe if you would go from team A to team B, you would maybe lose some events to another stronger swimmer that team B already has or whatnot. So I can definitely understand that they want to stay and they want to keep on doing what they've been doing, and also the team spirit and how it is to be part of that team. I think that's a big thing for the ISL to feel that connection to being part of like the Titans or the Cali Condors or whatever team you choose to swim for.
Yeah, I understand the athlete sentiment in that, but at the end of the day, and it sounds kind of harsh, but it's the GM's responsibility to put together the best team that they absolutely can. And if you are sent into the draft as part of, whatever team you were leaving, the team that drafts you so that they think that you can add, value to their team. So they are thinking in you that you would provide value and uplift their team for the next season. So it's not like, oh, we have to pick you last or something like that. If you get drafted to a different team, it's that team wants you on their team. You know what I mean?
No, fair enough. But at the same time, they might pick you. Yes, they want you on your team, but your team also wants you, and you want to be part of your team. So that could be a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But with that being said, guys, we know you're very busy. Blake, Rebecca, it's noonish for you guys, and you still have evening practice, right? So we don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you so much for making it to this podcast. It was truly a pleasure speaking to you. And before we wrap this up, Rebecca, Blake, Michelle, do you guys have anything to say to the Toronto Titans fans? Because you guys have a bunch.
No, thank you for cheering for us. And it's an honor to be part of the Titans, and so happy to have people following us.
Yeah, thankful for all the support, and just want to make them proud.
Yeah, exact same. I'm, thankful for all the fans, and I think, having fans for the Toronto and for every team is the way that ISL is going to get bigger, and it's going to be more successful. And I think it's just going to be, better in the future. So I'm very grateful for all the fans.
Thank you, guys. It was a pleasure talking to you, and we hope and wish to see you sometime soon on our podcast. Thank you, and to all our viewers. To all our viewers, we will have our match analysis of Match 4 happening this Sunday. Please tune in, and our next podcast will take place on a Tuesday. With that being said, thank you and stay